Well, it's really wonderful to see all of you in person again. Personally, I've really missed you and all. And this global lockdown has really proved something to each one of us, I think. And that's the need for human contact, for touching, for being with people we love, and being near those we love. Although Zoom worked at cocktail hour occasionally. Well, I was a minister here, as Dorothy said, in 1983, and the world was different. That was 38 years ago. And I realized that after that, in 1987 was the harmonic convergence. How many of you remember the 1987? Yeah. That was when it was the first global synchronized peace meditation. The first global synchronized peace meditation. And that started a change in consciousness in mankind. And then that laid the plan, sort of began the opening for the 2012. Now 2012 started the beginning of the change of the age of the shift. I should say the shift of the ages is what they call it. And this is a huge shift in consciousness, and we're in the middle of it right now. So in 2021, it's a time when you can't turn on the TV without seeing bad news. You can't go on the internet without reading bad news. You can't do anything, you can't listen, but you hear bad news. And this commercial selling, fear and division, is 24/7. And it succeeded in making the whole world fearful, terribly fearful and afraid. And this is a perfect example of the power of the word. Look what it's done to the world. And we are so asleep that we didn't even realize when they invented television what it was. But what do you think it was? Television. And they're programming us. They have the power to program with the power of the word anything they want you to believe. And it's worked so well that even families have split up because of different words they heard on different TV stations. Maybe it's because I debated in college or did a lot of TV commercials, but the words have always fascinated me. And today especially, it's important that we know that words are extremely important. Now, truth never changes. God is the same today, tomorrow, and forever. But we change, hopefully. Now, you may have heard the truth. It may have been repeated to you time after time, day after day. But then one day, you really hear it. Have you ever had that happen where suddenly a word just lit up practically and your mind went, it opened and thought, oh my God, that's what it really meant. Well, that's called a revelation, of course. But unfortunately, our initial introduction to words starts when we're little blank drives from 0 to 7. And up until about age 7, we simply download every word we hear. And whether they're true, false, or indifferent, we download them. But as children, we don't know the difference. So when we're older, we're in the habit of just recording words, not examining what they mean or wondering if they're true or false. And nobody ever told us the big secret, which I'll tell you after this. Because after I finished writing this talk, I had a revelation myself. The power of the word, I thought the biggest example in my life, or one of them. When I don't know how old I was, 5, 4, Father Lorden, who was the priest at our church, in a joking fashion, looked at me as I stood there with my parents, and he said, "Oh, you're freckles, you have leprosy." Well, now, to a 3 or 4-year-old, that doesn't, but I was a smart 2 or whatever how old I was. And I must have looked up leprosy somehow. And I found out it meant you were unclean and your nose could fall off. And you could die and get every disease, you know. And then they put you on an island all by yourself. So now it's funny to us as adults, but the things we say to children and to our subconscious mind, which is very much like a child, really imprints on you and affects your whole life. So I had to stop and tap on Father Lord and the leprosy after I finished writing my talk. But this is just a minor example, I guess. It wasn't minor to me, of what can happen to someone because of words that were said when we were little. Our legal system shows the power of words. He was accused of a crime. She testified. He had a hearing. The judge pronounced his sentence. He had a record. He was sentenced to life in prison. He got the death sentence. Our religions also feature the power of the words, but we didn't hear it. At least I certainly didn't. Do you realize that in Genesis 1, God said 12 times, and whatever he said, he created. Right there in Genesis 1, and God said, like, let there be light, and God said, whatever he said happened. The power of words is amazing. We need to realize that just as the media has used words to create this frightening world, we can use words to recreate it. Our modern scientists have made a remarkable discovery, and I kind of enjoy this. They found that just as we vibrate dirt to plant seeds in the fields of earth, we vibrate the invisible energy around us as we speak words. Think about that. It's not that different. As above, so below. We plant seeds, and if you plant a tomato seed, you get a tomato, not a cucumber. If you plant a seed word of hate, I hate you, you get hate, you don't get love. Our words are vitally important. So the brilliant quantum physicists, those PhD, thought hard about a word to call the invisible energy. And surprise, they called it a field. I'm glad it took you a minute. And remember, in the gospel it also said that God's word was the seed. They knew that thousands of years ago. And they figured words did the same thing as plants. They were very smart. Every word you speak is made flesh. That is scary. I mean, considering some of the words I've spoken and you've spoken. But words with strong emotions are even more powerful. Why? Because they move energy. Look at that, E equals mc squared, Einstein's great theory, equation I should say. Energy in motion is what occurs when you have strong emotion. So when you really have a negative emotion and you curse someone or something, it's powerful. No wonder voodoo worked. So today our words are more important than ever. Why? Because the old world is falling apart in front of us, and a new one is struggling to be born. Just look at the terrible news that you've seen last week even. We've seen problems with government, medicine, equipment, personnel. the people who have insurance, who don't have insurance, race problems, gender problems, presidents assassinate each other verbally. We see men beheading other men. Words create worlds. And it's no accident that the word world contains the word word. It's up to you to speak the words to create the world that we want. It's time for humanity to grow up. It's time for us to look at the miscreations on TV. That's one thing it's done. It's shown us all our mistakes and realize what we've done by error, and to take our power and to make the world that we want. And what world do we want? A world of peace, love, abundance, vibrant health, freedom, youth, beauty, and happiness. It's time for a new heaven and a new earth. As it says in Revelations, for the first earth has passed away. We are watching its death now. So turn off the news and speak the words of power. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And there should be a new heaven and a new earth. And remember, it's darkest before the dawn. And this is the dawn of a new age. And with the voice of an angel, our choir director, Jack Nalbandian, will now sing The Age of Aquarius to welcome in the new age.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Jack.